It's easier.
And we're going to do our prayer to get this started. Then you guys, we're going to table by table, get up and get our food. Then we'll get to the program after that. Mike, if you don't mind, come up, do prayer for us.
Our Father in heaven, we humbly bow at this time and pause to give thanks for the many blessings which we have. We're grateful for the talents we've been given and for the opportunity we have to work with young talent and individuals and people who need our guidance and direction. We're grateful for the rewards of the services which we render and for the opportunity to share our talents and abilities with others. We ask you to help us that we'll be able to develop them and use them properly to bring joy and satisfaction to others. We are grateful for this opportunity to meet together to celebrate and to give honor also to accomplishments which have been had during this past year and for the many blessings which we've been able to receive. We're grateful for the food which is prepared and ask that blessing upon it, that as we partake thereof, that it will nourish and strengthen us, and that will bless the hands which have prepared it. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Good evening, everybody. We appreciate you all so much for coming out. We know it takes time out of your day, and especially those that have driven far to come to this event. We really appreciate it. I also want to give a big thank you to Derry and his wife Tiffany. They put in so much work to put this on for these coaches, and it comes straight from the heart. He's probably one of the greatest guys I know, so if we can just give him and his wife a round of applause. I tell you to clap for EJ too, but he needs his haircut first. Okay, so how we're going to do food is we're going to have the honorees go first. So this table will go first, and then after that, Coach Croshaw, which one of the awards is named after him right here in the middle, his family will go. And then as you guys see people sitting back down, just one table at a time, just we don't want everybody swarming the food. So if you guys want to go first, followed by Coach Crowshaw's table, that'd be great.
To get to and or just to go to sleep. But this award started a couple years ago in my head. And I was actually talking to Coach Ray Hosner at Pineview. I said, and Coach Ray has been a bridesmaid for many years through this world of football. I think he might have been to the championship game. Pro, how many times have Coach Hosner been there?
Where?
The championship game.
5 or 6.
I think Ray
Huh?
Hosner?
Yeah, 5 or 6 times you've been there.
I thought maybe more than that, but he never won. He never won it. So I always asked the coach, what do the coaches get? I know the students get that big trophy, what does the coaches get? He said, nothing. I'm like, nothing. So you guys get to hang on to a trophy for a man to give to the school, and everybody go their separate ways, I guess. I said, well, I want to do something about that. So we run youth football throughout Southern Utah. I said, let's do something at the end of each season to commemorate a great year. Okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at my wife. She tells me when I'm doing something wrong, how that works. And so, what can we do to make it worthwhile, make it special? So I said, okay, who's the winningest coach in high school history? I looked it up, and it's Roger DuPaix. Some people believe it could have been a coach from Dixie High School, but I guess he was playing 8-man football a lot back then, so we went with 11-man football, and it was DuPaix. Okay, junior college, I happened to play for that guy for 2 years, and there's Greg Croshaw, who's not too far away from being the winning junior college coach in all of junior college football. So then on the 4-year level, it's Croshaw Edwards. So I said, let's put an award with DuPaix, Croshaw Edwards names on it. So I called all the coaches that are here, and I called the family of Coach Edwards, and everybody gave me a thumbs up, and it's something that we hope to do for the next 25 years or whatever. Because I think football brings people together more than anything else of any sport. And so if I can tell the coaches thank you for bringing young men together and making, you know, boys into young men. It's nothing like football. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I also believe it's good. I thought about the wives. I said, you know what? I think people don't realize how much wives go through during the football season. So it'd be cool if they can see their husband being, you know, praised and saying, hey, you know, this is worth it. Because sometimes it might feel like it's just not worth it. But, so, this is what we are, this is what we do. So, thank you guys for coming. We're going to get started with my man Andy Thompson. He's our DJ of ceremonies, MC of ceremonies. I got DJ later for a pizza party for the All-Star game with the football players. But MC now, DJ later. So, thank you guys, all right? We get started.
So Mike, you seem to...
We'll start with a bingo here real quick. There we go.
So Mike, you've seen television in the NFL. I mean, those guys start coming low right through here. And so that makes the offense try to come up over the top.
While at Dixie State, you won 17 WSFL conference titles and had 2 national runner-up finishes. When you took that job, were you confident you would be so successful?
Well, you know, I know a coach that doesn't think he has all the answers, but after an 0-3 start, I thought maybe I should be selling insurance or doing something else.
They have it all night. It's all we can tell you is keep trying. Try and get to you. Let's get another call in. Good evening. You're on the air.
Hi. I have a question for Coach French. You mentioned Scott Brumfield. What makes him such a great player? Also, for Coach Edwards, do you smile around your grandkids?
It's like someone said, I didn't coin the phrase. I'm actually a happy guy. I just, you know, someone said that I'm a happy guy. I just never told my face, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. But
3 seconds left. 3rd and 10 of the SMU 41-yard line. They hit all the way back into 146. Going to the end zone. Receivers are there. Defenders are there. It's in the end zone.
The verdict is in because this is the Skyline 34-24.
Sandberg and Larry Swenson here at Hanson Stadium. And Alanis will hand it off. There's the first down and more. Oh, a great stretch.
Today it's all in the books. The Skyline Eagles have their 8th title on the way.
Black is. But Dixie, yeah, you think of the players loaded the talent, but how about that coaching staff? That's a pretty good experience to draw from.
Who the hell got that penalty?
Well, you didn't hear that.
All right, it's great to be here. We have 2 very special guests tonight. Coach Greg Croshaw, who's here, one of the namesakes of the awards we'll be handing out, and also Kelly Smith, a former player of Coach Gala Edwards. We're going to have them both come up just for a couple minutes and talk to us. Coach Croshaw, you want to start out?
Well, it's a real pleasure and honor for me to be here. My wife said, don't swear. I didn't have to. They did it on the TV. You know, things change. I got to thank her tremendously. We've been married 43 years, and she basically let me play. 43 years. I can't tell you how much fun it is to go to work every day. and I'm still doing it. And love every minute of it. I feel like I've never worked a day in my life. And so, to her, the love of my life, I say thank you to our kids. Lacey's here, our daughter, and my favorite son-in-law. He's my only son-in-law, but he's still my favorite. I got, fortunate to have 3 daughter-in-laws, and football's been a huge part of our lives. At the college, if our kids got A's in spelling, they got to go on the road trips. And I don't think they ever got lower, I don't think they ever missed a spelling word. Unlike their dad, I never got one right. But I'm still that way. It's great to have somebody like Gator that does this. He played for me. His real name, if you don't know, is Derry. His brother Jerry played for me. And then his other brother, Hosey, played for me. And I guess they ran out of Aries. Because one ended up Hosey. But that's the kind of relationships that have been so good to me for so long. I had a chance to come to Dixie in 1971. I showed up here pretty wet behind the ears. That was my start of my coaching career. I actually went down to practice at Dixie High, and Coach Walt Brooks, I don't know if anybody remembers him. He was the head coach, and he lined up his team, and they were playing 2 games on one night. And the next night, and he said, count off by 1, 2. I'm standing there looking around like, whoa, what's he doing? And they went 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and the ones, he said, you're going to Virgin Valley to play, and the 2s are going to Beaver. I mean, they didn't break up the quarterbacks or running backs. They just went 1s and 2s, and they went 1, 2 games. I said, well, how tough can this coaching be? I found out it was a little bit tougher, but when I came to Dixie as a head coach in 1981, the first guy I tried to recruit was Kelly Smith. He probably doesn't remember that, but he ended up making a great choice and walking on at BYU and then becoming a great player in the national championship game. And when he gets up here, you got to have him meet when Gator asked me who should talk for Coach Edwards. It came right to my mind, Kelly Smith, because they were so close that it seemed to me that over the years maybe you can get him to sing the Beaver fight song that he and LaBelle used to sing all the time. It's quite entertaining. But Coach Edwards played a great part in my life as well as Kelly's. I might be the first guy in the history of BYU. I showed up there about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, met Coach Edwards. At 8 o'clock the next morning, he called me in his office, and I'd already broken the standards. And he could have fired me right there, but he said, hey, I think you got some potential of this, and I'm thankful for him for that. To be up here is unbelievable with these 2 guys, to me. And so the great opportunities that come through athletics, I just can't express enough how important it is. I went home to Seattle just 2 weeks ago, and the friendships you make are unbelievable. The only 2 guys I can remember, but basically from high school, the 2 guys I played ball with and went out to lunch with just a couple of weeks ago. So those things go on and on and on. And to see the players that come through your program and the chance you had to make impact on them is absolutely amazing. The guys that we run into now, my wife and I that played for us, half the time I say, who the hell was that guy? And they said, well, he played for you. I said, well, he must not have been very good because I remember the good ones. I don't forget Corey Dillon and the guys that play like that, Scott Young's and the different ones, Scott Brumfield. But to think about having had an opportunity to probably coach well into the thousands of guys, it's pretty remarkable when I look back on it. And I couldn't have done it without great help. I was very fortunate to have, I think, 2 of the best assistant coaches on the planet, Kelly Smith being one of them. Kelly was working where? Bemidji?
Yep.
And Coach Edwards called me and said, hey, I've got this guy I'd like you to hire. And I said, well, what's going on? He said, well, it's Kelly Smith. I said, oh yeah, I tried to recruit him years ago. And he said, well, he and his wife came out here to take a job. And when he got there, the job wasn't what he thought. and he needs a job. So fortunate for that incident, we were able to get Kelly Smith, and he coached with me for about 21 years, 22 years. So, that's pretty amazing. Gordon Jolly was with us for the same amount of time, and that's where a lot of the success has to go, because it's credit to those guys, because year after year to have that kind of solid background with coaches that are there. We used to have college coaches that come in and they'd say, "Well, aren't you going to meet and get ready for practice?" I said, "Well, we met 23 years ago. We don't need to meet. We're doing the same things we did 21 years ago." And Kelly and Gordon took that offense, and I told them, I said, if you can hold them to 34, if you can score 35, I'll figure out how to hold them to 34. And that worked out to be a pretty darn good combination. But we were blessed to have a lot of great young men come and play. And so take advantage when you have a chance to coach those young guys, or the young guys have a chance to play. Just make sure you enjoy that time that you have, because they're memories that you will never forget. I had the opportunity a year ago to coach two grandsons right there, 7th and 8th grade, and the one advice my wife gave me is don't swear. And I think I managed that pretty good. I'm not too sure, but it's kind of interesting now. We go to soccer games all over the country. We've got 3 right here that play, young people that play. We have 3 granddaughters in Washington that play. And we got a couple of younger kids in Arizona that play that are grandkids. I just think it's crazy how things have changed. I sit there and don't say a word. My wife yells at the officials. It used to be totally the opposite of that. Many years that I coached, I was pretty good at getting pretty excited and pretty intent. And I like to think our kids played that way. We were very, very fortunate. And but when it was over, it was over. There's not much you can do. And I go home, and I think people would ask my wife, "Well, how do you live with that guy?" And she said, "Well, he comes home, you don't even know, what happened." And I tried to separate the two, but I can tell you that, like I say, I'm in my 70s now. I feel like I've never worked a day in my life. I look forward every day to go to have an opportunity to be with young men, to coach them, and to be involved. And I've been fortunate enough to do that every year since I was 21 years old. And it just, I can't thank my family enough for the great support. The many friends that some are here and some aren't, but that supported our program. And to be with these 2 icons of coaching just is pretty staggering to me. So thank you for all that you do. Thank these young men. Try to support them, because it's a big, big part of their lives. If you think, I used to tell kids, if you think it's tough out there today playing football, just wait. It gets a heck of a lot tougher the older you get. We got to figure out how to pay the bills, or how to keep your wife happy, or whatever that case is. It gets a lot tougher. So enjoy your time out there. Enjoy your time when you're a coach, because I think it's one of the greatest things that you can do, is have an opportunity to deal with young people. And there's some heartbreaks in it, but I can tell you what, there's a lot more great things that these young guys do when they get older. And it's amazing to me to go to different reunions, to go see things where run into guys that played for you 20, 30, 40 years ago, and still remember that experience. And it's just very, very fortunate for us to get a chance to do that. And for that, I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful for Gator to be part of this with these icons. And I thank you very much.
Well, I can honestly say, coaching 20 years with Croshaw, I never heard him swear once. I can't count the number he did, but it wasn't one. But no, Gro was a great guy to coach for. It was awesome to be able to be involved. It's pretty exciting for me just to see these 3 guys. I knew Coach DuPaix, and Skyline, and recruited there sometimes, but just to be involved with this. And I was pretty excited when Gator called me, and I heard the two names, and I didn't understand what he was saying when he was talking about Lavelle. I didn't even think he was saying Lavelle. I'm like, really? He goes, Lavelle Edwards. I'm like, okay. Anybody that can talk about Lavelle, I'll be happy to. But just a couple quick things about Lavelle, because Lavelle, as you know, was passed a few years ago, and I got to go up to his funeral. And you know how beloved Lavelle is when almost every player that ever played for him shows up to his funeral. And they had a line so far. I mean, I think I was in line standing with Andy Reid, who coaches for the Chiefs, and Steve, and Jim McMahon, all was standing in line, and we waited there an hour and a half just to walk through, and it was just a fun to visit with him. And you know he's beloved when they name the stadium after him. Now, Croshaw said something about Lavelle. I walked on from Beaver and ended up making it and playing, obviously, in the national championship. But the first time Lavelle introduced me to the boosters, he goes, hey, I got to sing you the Beaver fight song. And Crow mentioned that, and I'd never heard this fight song until I had to go and sit with Lavelle, and he wrote it down on a napkin for me. But Crow said, and when I was at the funeral in line, Patty goes, are you going to be at the funeral tomorrow? And I said, yeah. And he goes, one of the grandkids are going to sing the Beaver fight song. And I'm like, oh, that, you know, everybody's like, because Lavelle used to teach his kids funny sayings and songs, and Lavelle really didn't know, but since I grew up in Beaver High School, and our mascot, we're the Beaver Beavers, you know, and everybody make fun of that, obviously, for reasons, but he said, for I'm a Beaver, slap my tail real hard, chew the bark and build a dam, a Beaver man is what I am. That was his fight song, and I'd never heard of that. And I go, where'd you get that? He goes, I don't know. And so everywhere he goes, he taught his kids, and every time I went through Beaver, and every time Lavelle was around, we would have to sing that together, at firesides, at different banquets, at different things. I remember one time, and you know, Lavelle, he really didn't smile a lot, but he stood on the sideline, he was like this a lot, and this is an honest story. I ran a sweep. I think I got 40-something yards on this sweep, and I come out and I didn't make a touchdown. He goes, Kelly, I know my grandmother can run faster than that. Because the guy came by, and he goes, but I really like that play. Let's run that again sometime. Because Lavelle didn't really get into the X's and O's on the sideline. He had his coaches, and I think it was one or two plays later, we ran the exact same play, and I scored. And he just goes, yeah, see, I told you if we run that play again, you'd score. But he always was doing things like that. But what I loved about Lavelle is when he got his smartphone, you know, he didn't have one for a long time, but if you text Lavelle or called him, 100% of the time he would get back with you within the next few hours. He even called me one day and called me the next, making sure that he got back with me. I mean, that's the type of man he was. When my wife, our youngest child, he's 25 now, but she almost died, and she was in the ICU for like 10 days. And this is 25 years ago, and there wasn't cell phones, but about 4 in the morning, in the ICU, when the nurses come and said, there's a guy on the phone named Lavelle Edwards. I don't know if it is or not, but he wants to talk to you. And I go, it's Lavelle Edwards. He called me every single day for 10 days when my wife was in there. That's just the type of person that he was, type of individual that players looked up to, and always, he just loved his players. He knew you by name. My wife worked as a physical therapist assistant, and several years ago, they let Lavelle have a house out of Coral Canyon, and so that they could kind of use his name. Well, Lavelle's in sitting on the table. He had hurt his knee or something, and my wife's working on him and just having a good old time talking about different things. And this lady walks over and says, has anybody ever told you you look just like Lavelle Edwards? He sat there and goes, I've been told that a time or two, but didn't tell her who he was. She just went on her way, and Julie and them kind of had a laugh, because that's the kind of person he was. Now, about 2 years before he passed, this is the last story I'll tell. Blaine Fowler, who was the backup to Bosco the year we won it, I was sitting here talking to him, and we were talking about Lavelle. And he says, you know what? This is the epitome of Lavelle Edwards and how beloved he is in Provo, Utah. Blaine was out golfing, and Lavelle was an avid golfer. He loved to golf. He even golfed at the Masters after we won the national championship, because they invited him, and he golfed on the same whatever. But he's back there, and all of a sudden he sees somebody's up golfing in front of him, and somebody drives the golf cart right up on the green, gets out, putts, sees the marshal, and the marshal doesn't go up and say a word to him, just drove on by, and he says, how in the world could that person drive on the green like that? And he goes, listen, that's Lavelle Edwards. He can do whatever he wants. And that's true. Lavelle, he would drive right up. He'd just get out of his car and go tap it. It was right on the green. I don't think anybody, he even said, everybody up there knew there's one person that can do whatever he wants, and that was Lavelle. And so, you know, that's kind of the person he was. You know, I'm honored that I got to share a few things about Lavelle. I love Lavelle, I love Patty, his wife. Just like I love Crow and Doris, they were the same type of people that they were. You always have to have a good wife in play in order to be a successful coach, just like they mentioned, and you got to have family that supports you. There was times, I know my wife was like, from the school teaching and jobs and coaching, and you never see you. And I even did women's basketball for 5 years and was doing football and running from here, there. And you just do whatever you do when you're a coach, and that's just the way it is. But I appreciate being here. I like to honor each of you guys. I'm proud to be here, and I thank you for this, and see you later.
All right. I'll do my little bit here quick. I'm on the local sports station here in town, and we always interview coaches after they win, and they always give all the credit to the players. They say, look, coaches just lose games, players win games, and we all know that's not true, right? Look, there's no players here tonight, it's all the coaches. Let's take some credit, and I know if the wives would probably agree with me, because I want to switch the saying up a little bit, just a little bit. And coaches win games, players can't find their knee pads half the time. And but coaches will never, you know, talk like that. They always give credit to their assistants and other coaches. But me and Gator were able to scour the internet and found the only coach who took credit upon himself. You know, this works.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell that. Everybody's like, football is a team game. Okay, it's not a team game. Okay, I did my part. All right, I put in a great game plan. I mean, these players, they're horrible. My players are no good. I mean, everyone's like, no excuses. I got 22 excuses. 11 on my offense and 11 on my defense. Our offensive coordinator is terrible. He gets half of his plays off of Madden rookie mode. I mean, the guy is no good. You know, our offensive line, it's like Obama's immigration policy. Let everybody through. Do we have a chance next week? No, we don't. We're 0-8. We're not good at football. I got 3 white receivers. Our red zone defense is like Oprah. Like, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. Our quarterback, look at the playbook. We put in plays for Peyton Manning. He plays like Cooper Manning. I mean, the guys are just not good at football. No credit to the other team. Okay, the other team is awful. We tried to recruit bigger, better players to come play for us, but they went to good schools. I put in the game plan. These kids can't execute. 3rd down, terrible. I know we need better players. I get it. We can't win with the product we got in the field here. Like, I'm down to Rick Pitino some guys if I need to, but not.
So feel free to just open up tonight, coaches. Just let it go. Let it loose. Okay, our first coach from Pahranagat Valley in Nevada. This team went 13-0 this season, averaged 51 points a game, and they won the state title 28-14 over Spring Mountain. Coach Brett Hansen, come on up.
A lot more people there out here sitting in front. Anyways, this is my first year coming here. It's a pretty awesome event. First of all, I'd just like to thank all you guys at GridIron University for putting this on. This is pretty awesome. Like I said, I'm from Nevada. I'm from a small little school there in rural Nevada. And as us coaches were talking over here, you know, sometimes you deal with issues with players and never know, can't find their knee pads, or they're out doing who knows what at all hours of the night. And I told them one of my biggest issues is how many cows I got to chase off the field the next day before practice. So I love it where I am. It's a great community atmosphere. I can't do it without my assistant coaches, without the volunteers. We have 2nd and 3rd graders, 4th graders all playing Pee Wee football in this little town, and they're in full pads and their helmets are bouncing around, and they just love it. And to have that community support and those coaches and dads that help support that are all volunteer. Our middle school coaches are all volunteer. They travel all over the state of Nevada for games, and that just helps our program because we're out in the middle of nowhere, so we get who we get, and we try to develop those kids and play them. But definitely like to thank my wife. Just like all the other coaches, you can't do this without a supportive wife and family. Definitely spend a lot of hours, and so just grateful to be here. Like I said, this is pretty awesome, coming from a small town in Nevada. Thanks for having me, and appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, our next school of the year, we got a couple highlights from their season here. Beaver was the 2A champion in Utah. They went 13-0, gave up 5 points per game, which is pretty incredible. Had 4 shutouts this year. They beat Milford 45-6, and they don't have a coach here represented, so we'll accept the award on their behalf. Unless somebody wants to sing that Beaver fight song.
I went to Beaver. I'll accept it.
Okay, yeah, Kelly will accept it.
I'll get it for him.
All right. Let's see here. And it was head coach John Marshall this year for the Beavers. Our next winner is Yerington High School in Nevada. They went 11-1, lost their first game, rallied, finished with 11 straight victories, and they beat Lincoln County 33-22 in their state championship. And I don't think there's a representative for them there tonight either. We'll go on to Morgan, 3A champion here in Utah. Morgan had an incredible year this season. They went 12-1, won games with as wide a margins as 51-0 and as close as 8-0 in the championship. That was a defensive battle. They won 8-0 off that touchdown and played stellar defense to get the victory. Coach Kobe Christiansen, come on up.
Well, I totally wasn't expecting to speak at all, but I, like the other coaches, just want to thank my wife, first of all. She's let me do this now for 21 years, and took me that damn long to beat Juan Diego. So I appreciate her patience with me, and more than anything, this year we had 30 seniors, which is pretty unheard of for a 3A school. And those 30 seniors, I give all the credit to them. They each accepted a role. Many of them were good enough to play both sides of the ball, but ended up sacrificing and just playing one side of the ball. And when it came down to it, we were fresh at the end of all games. And I think it's not very often you win a state championship with 2 field goals over 40 yards and safety. But every one of our playoff games we had at least one safety in, so our defense was pretty stellar. So my coaches have been with me the whole time, and it's amazing what you can accomplish when you have great kids and consistent coaches that are loyal and loving and want what's best for the youth of America. I really appreciate this opportunity to come down here for some great food and great companionship and being recognized. It's a lot of work, and sometimes you do feel a little underappreciated, especially on Friday nights. I'm pretty sure if I wouldn't have won it, well, I know I wouldn't have been here if we didn't win it, but I probably wouldn't be here on this earth if we didn't win it this year. So with 30 seniors, they were parents probably would have killed me. So I appreciate everything that you guys have done. The coaches that are up here, amazing examples of what it's like to dedicate their entire lives for the growing and teaching and creating of young boys into young men. So I greatly look up to them, and coaches are good thieves. If you want to be a good coach, you got to take what has worked for people ahead of you and what you can learn from them and incorporate it into your own coaching. And so 3 of the best examples up there of what you can do with coaching. So thank you very much.
Our next team is Fernley High School from Nevada. This was one of a couple teams this year who won the state championship against a team who they had lost to previously in the regular season, which is always cool. They went 11-2. They won their state championship game 24-20. Our next school is the Skyview Bobcats, Region 9 down here in St. George's 4A. So we know all too well how good they were this year. So here's some. Let's see. Okay. Skyview, they went 13-1. One of the most impressive things about their year, I think, is against the other schools up in Cache Valley. They beat them in points 135-38 this year, which is pretty incredible. They beat Park City in the state title 35-0. They claimed the program's first state championship. So that was awesome for Skyview. Do we have Jimmy here to accept this? Oh, okay. All right, so we'll move on to Liberty from Nevada. Liberty was one of the most remarkable, it was kind of a miracle season. They started the year 0-5, finished the season 10-0, and they were beating teams like Bishop Gorman and Bishop Minogue, and then they were the other team this year who lost to Centennial earlier on in the year by quite a bit, and then they smoked them in the state championship, Centennial state championship game, to win their state championship. Accepting tonight on behalf of Coach Morocco is Rasheen Barrett.
Thank you, Coach. I'm happy to be able to accept this award for Coach Morocco for Liberty. Being a fan, accepting this award. One thing that stood out to me when he's talking about how they beat Centennial, how they beat Bishop Gorman. So that tells me for you coaches as well, you guys do a good job of shaping your team's mindset. And I feel like that's the biggest thing part of the sport, the mindset. You have the best athlete out there, but if they don't have the mindset, you can't get to the championship like you guys did. For them to beat Bishop Gorman after so many years, and the coach saying after they beat them in 2016 by 76 points, that we promised to win, we promised we'd get that. That means he went to the drawing board. That means he didn't give up on his team. He didn't give up his coaches. They came together and they came to a common goal to win a championship. So on behalf of Coach Morocco at Liberty High School, thank you GIU for putting something like this together to represent and give you coaches thanks for what you guys are doing. Like you said, you're impact. what you guys do, long hours, film session, the late night coming home, missing out some of the kids at been soccer games. I salute you guys, take my hat off you guys, as well as Coach Marco and you guys. Thank you.
All right, our next school is the Orem Tigers, 5A champs in Utah this year. That number 2 is a pretty good ball player. They were 10-4. They moved up in classification this year, up to 5A. They finished on a 5-game winning streak and won their 3rd straight state championship. And that's head coach Jeremy Hill. Our final award tonight is. See where my cursor goes here. I'm having some technical issues here, and I apologize. Sorry about that. Corner Canyon. Corner Canyon, maybe the most dominant school, kind of any classification you could argue this year. In 6A, they averaged 45 points per game, only had one game all season long that was within one possession, and they beat American Fork 49-14 in the state championship game. Coach Kajar was here last year. We're grateful for him to be back this year. Come on up, Coach. Congratulations.
My daughter's laughing at my picture that they put up there. We always grow facial hair, and I grow the Lloyd Christmas haircut for a little while when we make our playoff run, so it gets a little out of hand. I want to thank GridIron University and Gator. This is awesome. It's funny. I coach in an area where when we were talking about coaches getting rewarded. I have a kid who's my starting right tackle. His dad pulls up at the gas station where I'm at, rolling up in his Range Rover. And he's like, hey, what do you guys get for winning the state championship? You get like a bonus or something coming at you? And I was like, no. He should know better, actually, because he's been around me enough. And my wife gets asked that all the time. And that's, any coach will tell you that's not why we do it. But we do it for the kids and everything else. But it's pretty funny. You get asked that a lot. And it's really cool that GridIron University and Gator does this for us. And it is nice to be rewarded, and we really appreciate it as coaches. I came down last year, and it was awesome. I thought he just does a great job, and the food's great. Just being able to talk to some other coaches that we've had down here, and then to get the award that has 3 legends on it in Utah football. I grew up in Wyoming. Actually, I have another guy from Lovell, Wyoming. Coach Christian Jensen grew up in Wyoming also, so the table's rocking it. And I know Lavelle's wife was from Big Piney, Wyoming as well, so there's a lot of good stuff coming out of Wyoming every once in a while. It doesn't seem like there is. As you go across I-80, there's not much, but it's been just great to have an award that has those 3 legends on there. I got to coach against Coach Croshaw a little bit when he was at Cottonwood High School, and I've heard a ton of stories. A guy that I had coached with and who got my start from Alex Jacobson had known Coach Croshaw for quite a while, and I got a lot of stories from him. And just the clip of him cussing was awesome too, because I get caught sometimes with clips like that or sound bites that get posted on like the social media stuff every once in a while of giving a coach pep talk. And then having Coach DuPaix down here last year, I got a chance to coach against him when he was at Skyline, when I was an assistant at Jordan, and just the legend of Skyline when I first got into Utah was real. They had been rolling for a while and killing everybody and just dominated through the 90s and had that roll a little bit in the early part of the 2000s too. So, and then I was a BYU fan growing up, really why I got into football. Was watching those great teams in the late 80s and 90s. Ty Detmer was a huge idol of mine. A small kid from Kemmer, Wyoming, throwing a plastic football in the backyard thinking I was going to be Ty Detmer, but that's really what kind of got me into football. And it's guys like Coach Edwards and things like that. And thankful for KSL coming into Kemmer, Wyoming, why you get into football. My dad didn't play football, my family didn't, but that's kind of what got me into it. Just those small little things. And then I played at a school in college called Wayne State. And we actually played Bemidji. Were you at Bemidji State? Is that right? Oh man, I know why you didn't want to stay there, for sure. But that comes full circle. I get to come back into Utah, and really the real part why I like doing this is coaching young men. It keeps me young, and I love working with youngsters and teaching them the game. And it's not so much the winning. The winning on the field's great. It really is. I love that. But the part I really enjoy is the process, the lifting, working out with the kids, and then coaching them on the field, building relationships, making fun of them a little bit, teasing them. I enjoy that part a lot of coaching, and that's a big reward for me. And I want to thank my family, my wife, who's been amazing for a guy that's a footballaholic and just basically does nothing but that almost the whole year, really. And what Coach Croshaw said, I've never felt like I've worked. She knows that. She supports that. Lets me kind of do my thing. And then this time I have my kids with me. On the clip, there was Noah was catching a touchdown. That's been really, Coach Christiansen and I talked about being able to coach your sons, pretty special. I had never done it until we got into high school, and that's been really fun for me. And then my other children, they always come to the weight room with me, running around, knocking stuff over. Sometimes they're a pain in the butt, and they piss me off, to be honest with you. But having them down here with me now, that's the fun part, and it's just been a lot of fun, and the support's been crazy to have them with me and to be a part of that journey. And I'm very grateful and love the position and love being able to coach. And thank you, Gator. Appreciate it.
All right, I just wanted to say it's always a privilege to be here amongst champions, and thanks to Gator and everybody. And
Well, hey, this one went pretty good, so thank you guys for coming. You guys can hang out, eat the rest of the cheesecake, take everything home, because last time they took everything and threw it away on us. So I'd rather you guys take it home and eat everything you see rather than throwing it somewhere. So, but thank you guys for coming. One thing we didn't get a chance to say was we added Nevada this year, and we added up under the name of Rich Abadjian. So I just want to make sure we're going to keep it going, Utah and Nevada from here on. And Coach Rick, if you guys don't know about Finley Toyota, Rich passed away probably 3 years ago, and great man, just incredible to youth football from the youth side to the UNLV side. He coached it, but he was a leader of men. Rick was incredible. And I had the opportunity to work with him for a while, see him. He was one of the biggest boosters, I believe, for Las Vegas over the UNLV for the last 20 years. So he deserves that award, his name also. So I just wanted to make sure we did recognize him for Nevada. And so with people like Coach Abadjian in my life, it's been fun. Like I said, coaches are so damn important, So keep it up, keep working hard, and continue success. And I got you a different color jacket this year. Because since you keep coming back, we figure I better give you the same one. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the All-Star Games. And it's going to be fun. And thank all you guys, and congratulations to everyone. Eat up everything you see. It's already paid.